How's camp treating you so far?
It's great. I feel like it's all you can ask for. I'm blessed to be back on the field. Just learning from the older guys and the vets. So just being able to get my feet wet again and learn from those who done it at the high levels and just following them being that sponge. It feels great to be back on the field.
Does it feel like things have really been kind of clicking for you this last week or so? Camp seems like the ball's been finding a lot.
Yeah, a little bit. It kind of all goes in mentally. You gotta get on the board and try to dial in on that mental aspect. It's a lot to it rather than just going out there and just having your physical ability to execute plays. You gotta know what you got and what you want to do in certain yard marks. So I feel like just being dialed in and, like I said before, learning from those older guys on certain spots and how to read some kind of different coverages and techniques. That's kind of helping me out a lot to sharpen my game.
Tory, you're getting a lot more experience working with Sam out there. What goes into trying to develop a chemistry with a new quarterback, particularly when you're now playing a different level and now getting all these opportunities? How do you feel about where your rapport is at with him?
Yeah, I'm still learning, and we're still trying to get on that same wavelength. Like I said, I'm the youngin coming in, and I've watched Sam, and he's been doing his thing at the league. So I ask him a whole lot of questions. I'm asking him what he's looking for, his timing, his feet work. So I can make sure I'm in the best spot and position for him, and just to make sure we're on that same connection without actually. Being that like verbal on the field, so that just come with practicing and taking time, and at the end of the day, when we go and meet, I ask a whole lot of questions. My mom always said it never hurts to ask questions, so I pick everybody's brain.
Do you feel like the knee is totally in the past now, or are you kind of back to 100%, or what?
Yeah, I feel like the knee thing is kind of in the past. The training staff, they did a great job with me, and we still stay on top of it to this day, and it's just something that you kind of just got to stay on top of, and it's been helping me out a lot. So when I go out there on the field, the knee is the last thing, like the last of my words. I just go out there and perform.
How close or far from 100% were you at the combine? You were in that 4.1.
Yeah. So when I was training, at Excel Orange County, I got cleared. I want to say 2 to 3 weeks before the combine, and the trainer was like, "Hey, we're gonna work, and we're gonna see how bad you really want to go run at the combine." And they gave it to me real. They was like, "It's gonna be hard, but we believe with your competitive mindset you can go do it." So it was quite a push, and I wasn't 100%. I wasn't even 70%. So that just goes to my competitive nature of going out there and seeing those other guys run, and just me getting a couple runs during my training. I felt like I could just go out there and just kind of wing it. We sharpened up my technique a little bit. Couldn't do too much because I didn't have much time, and at the end of the day, I just kind of just went out there and ran.
Did you run again that year?
No, I did not. I did not. I was kind of mad at the combine that I ran the 4.41. I knew I had 4.3 in me, but at the end of the day, the knee wasn't all the way there yet. But I did want to show those scouts and people that I am a competitor, and I've been on top of my rehab game, and I'm still on top of it. And now I feel like the knee is not even an issue, so I feel great.
What did you learn about yourself in the last year, just going through an injury, the timing of that before the draft and everything? Just what that teach you?
I just feel like it's more than just the on-field aspect of the game. It's a huge mental toll to be out for that long and out for the season. Of course, it being my senior year and my 5th year, I wanted to come back and achieve some things. We did achieve one of those things, which was going to a bowl game. But, it kind of puts you in a dark place. And I have a pretty good fan base. Shout out to them. They kind of, kept me, well-grounded and, just safe and, just heard. So I kind of just found that, just that mental I don't know, just like that mental circle for me to just, stay at it. And it kind of just showed me that, you gotta find, a different drive. It's not always on the field. So, I kind of looked at my, just my rehab at a different level. I looked at my studying at a different level. I was still studying, defenses and some of the plays while my team was still playing, even though I couldn't, physically be out there or travel with them during that time. Just on the TV, I was, just trying to call out defense and, the reads and things like that. And, now when I, watch film and study and when I ask questions, I'm asking all those because, that all that plays a part and you want to be on the same wavelength.
Having gone through all that, how cool was it Saturday when you're in Lumen Field? There's fans there and everything. I mean, it's like kind of I guess got to that.
It was amazing. I do a lot of praying, and I thank God. He deserves all the credit. He's always been watching over me. And it was just a blessing to be back on the field and at this level I'm at now. That's something you could just dream of. And at the end of the day, I just try to go out there, put my best foot forward, make the best out of the opportunities. If that's special teams, if that's just going out there picking up the block, I want to do it to the best of my ability. Because at the end of the day, this is all I dreamed of. And when I was a kid, I said I'd do anything to get to this spot. So you kind of living that dream, and I'm going day by day, just trying to get better every day.
Where you've been able to stack a bunch of practices now together where you're fully healthy and really get immersed in this offense. So what do you love about this offense in terms of how you fit into it now that you've had a chance to actually run a lot of team reps?
I feel like it's a great spot for me. Just getting more dialed into the playbook. You kind of slow things down in your head. It's a lot of things that we got in this offense, and we got a lot of weapons, and just a lot of shifts and movements, and deep kind of routes and things like that, and just intermediate. You kind of get a lot of it, and Clint, he's a hell of an OC, and he know what he's doing for sure, and. It's a great. I feel like it's a great offense for me to fit in, and of course we got Coop, Jax, MVS, Bobo, all those guys who play key roles in this offense, and just me coming to OTAs, just learning behind those guys. You see this offense is going to open up, and it's it's going to be a lot of huge and big plays, and it's a lot of players who can make those big plays.
How do you see yourself really making an impact? Like, do you see yourself as more of a kind of stretch the field kind of guy, more of an underneath guy?
I don't really know so far. I feel like I just kind of go out there and just try to be the best version of me. If it is underneath, I'm gonna go 110%. If it's deep routes and I gotta take the top off and just clear it up for the underneath or the intermediate routes, I do that too. So I feel like the roles ain't really kind of it's not really solidified yet. And the special thing about Clint offense, you could be anywhere, everywhere, at any time. So like I said, I'm still learning the offense, and blessed to be with Jaxon, all those vets, and Coop. So learning a lot from Coop and them, and how to just kind of study those plays, and just connect. You're right.
There's something you could emulate from Cooper and from Jaxon. Steal something from them skill-wise. What would you choose to take?
Coop's shiftiness and his creativity in his routes. That every time I watch him at practice, I'm just like, damn, I gotta put that in my bag. He got some crazy top of the route moves, and I'm always asking him how he's reading leverage and things like that. Like I said, I'm just that sponge. I'm gonna ask a lot of questions, and just his decisiveness on the field, and just how smart and aware he is on the field. And then with Jax, he's a shifty player. He's real shifty, and he has a quick trigger release, and just his ball skills. He's ball friendly. If you watch him on the field, he's always friendly to the quarterback. He has strong hands, and I've been picking his brain a lot too. And he kind of just told me it's a focus thing, and you secure first before you make that move, and it just shows your legs kind of take over at that point, and you rolling now. So I feel like those attributes right there, I like them a lot from them.
What are you looking forward to from your first preseason game this week?
I'll probably say executing. at the end of the day, I want to be perfect. It's hard to be perfect, but that's just the chip I have, and mistakes are going to happen. But if I have a mistake, the mistake is going to be 100%. And I watch film every day to perfect my craft, and just be in the best position, and just the best version of me out there on the field. It's going to be my first time being back, playing wise. So I'm fired up. I'm excited. So just trying to dial in and make sure I'm getting everything tightened up and got some screws tied. So.
Hoping to do some returns too, or I mean, we're looking to see you doing kind of both punt and kick returns.
Yeah, punt return. Probably be back there getting some of those in. Been learning from a great return, Steve Sims. Picking his brain back there. Like I said. Yeah, so just picking his brain and learning from him, making sure I'm getting in the right spot, I'm catching it, centered up and things like that, and just how to read, gunner and things like that. So.
We saw Derek Hall speak to the team afterwards. What was the gist of the conversation?
Yeah, it was just all love. We had a little bit of an incident, but at the end of the day, we love each other, and we have a strong, team chemistry. So it wasn't really none much. He just kind of cleared the air. It looked bad out there, and it was nothing like that. Full accountability, and everybody moved on. So it was a great, just a great speech.
Coming on Thursday. That he thinks that you'll end up being the steal of the draft. What does that kind of phrase mean?
I don't know. I kind of been hearing that a lot. I kind of stay away from the media. I just kind of been dialed in and focused on myself. Me hearing that, it's a little bit of a motivation for me. At the end of the day, God had his he had his plan for me, and I'm happy I ended up in Seattle. And at the end of the day, it was a lot of teams who knocked me because of the injury, and it's a hard pill to swallow, but. I'm blessed I'm here now, and I just want to make the best of my opportunity. So me here in the still of the draft, I just want to go out there and capitalize and, let those people know that I'm back and, I'm full go, I'm ready.
Who you got coming on Thursday?
Huh?
Who you got coming on Thursday? I know you leaned into your family hard the last year. Are they coming up in the know?
Yeah, I got my mom, dad, and then I got my sister and her husband coming up. Yeah, my fiance will be there, so. Yeah, it'd be good. It'd be good showing.
Anything else? Thanks.
Appreciate you guys. Thank you. Thank you guys.